contact with this couple that has connections with a lady that works with um, active duty guys that they're getting off of active duty
Yeah.
and works for veterans. And she has a manufacturing program where they go through a course for like 6 to 8 weeks and they go to different spots throughout the United States to learn the manufacturing and stuff like that. And then once they're done with that, there's the companies that help support this, I guess, is will offer a position in any of these different states for that veteran to come work with them.
Right.
So, and then, but this lady's also got ties, first name basis ties
Oh,
with people in the Pentagon and in the military and stuff like that
right.
for us to network with for
Right.
support and some other, possibilities for us to be able to, explore on. So, you
That's a
know,
massive congratulations.
yeah. So, they were super excited about what I was doing with my business, and then they explained about veteran Hundo Club, and they were all excited about it, and they put their hand out first to thank me. So I knew they were really excited, and so I'm hoping to hear from them soon.
Yeah.
They got my business card. Matter of fact, they got several of my business cards. So to make sure that they pass it out and keep in contact and all that good stuff. So we'll see what happens. But it was a great lead. Even though I didn't sell a whole lot much, we didn't get a whole lot of traffic. I made some really good contacts.
That's the main
Nice.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have to cut you off here. But guys, it's time to get started. So I have the honor and privilege of introducing our president of Hundo Club. I have personally watched him drop everything he is doing to help other veterans who are in crisis mode. He is extremely artistic and creative, and the man behind the logos and development of the entire website that we have for Hundo.net. The designer of the Hundo organization as a whole, and with the assistance of the vice president, has actually kicked off and gotten the business off the ground. He's earned more medals and accommodations in his first 4 years as in enlisted service than most officers have in 10. And I give you President Raymond.
Thank you, Captain Ian, for that. That is true. A lot of that is very, very true. So I will be discussing where we are currently today and what aspects we want to continue to develop and benefit on and work on to get our vision accomplished. Our vision is pretty straightforward, is to literally rebuild veterans from the ground up using a holistic scale, using also a user-centric approach on such as veterans donating their time and energy to education and development of their whole aspect of life. So they have the power. So where are we today? We have accomplished a lot. We have accomplished in the last week all bugs and backends. So if there is any situation pertaining to cross-contamination with profiles or anything that doesn't exist anymore, as the words from Starship Troopers, the only good bug is a dead bug, so we got rid of those bugs. I could say that's a nice pinch there. Everyone knows Starship Troopers. It should be on your wall besides next to your hero medals as veterans. What else we got? So there, where we are today versus next week. So coming next week, we're looking to really house something special and unique. Mr. Finch will take that over and discuss that, but I will be focusing on the website development and the app development. The app development will be my pet project for the first couple weeks, and that's going to take a massive amount of my time, and we're allying with support vet app, which is a business, if you have a business or whatnot. So we had a nice conversation for about 2 or 3 hours yesterday. with Walter of the CEO of Vet App. And we are still on track. We are on track, and everything is really flowing well. Today we have a announcement for promotion to Troy, Captain Troy. And Captain Troy today is in charge of TRADOC Command. He's going to be dealing with anything pertaining to TRADOC and in our system, which basically is a very heavy role to play. There is a lot to that. To give some aspects of that, is in the major command aspect, he's in charge of seeing the trainings for the veteran forces and developing the operational doctrine, and education and training the veterans, civilians, and leaders, and supporting our organization on a whole. And that's a massive undertaking that he's volunteered for. So I want to thank everybody for their vote on to having Captain Troy in charge of the United States Veteran Command TRADOC officer. Everyone has unanimously approved, and that has been nothing but a success for us on that aspect. Also, Sergeant Brick, he has reached out to multiple financial institutions, and he is doing exceptionally well for us, and we want to thank him. I want to thank personally also Captain Ian for his hard work and dedication towards being a scrib and handing out and going after those individuals that are looking for help, and knows how much chaos we are. And if he sees something, he's picking it up and working extremely hard, as well as Joe. Captain Joe is doing a phenomenal job on our PR realm. As you can tell, he'll give a little back spiel about that, about how we had an interesting conversation with the Pentagon, or members that know Pentagon members. So we're going to have some really the direction is going phenomenal. So thank you, team. And you got anything for us, Vice President Finch?
Yeah, thank you. So if there's anybody who doesn't know me yet, I'm Ed Finch. I'm Vice President, and been instrumental with Chris in getting all of this launched and packaged together and delivered, and building the strategy for HUNDO. We are very much geared towards what we can do for veterans, and that's the whole crux of what we're doing. And it's the ethos that we've built this on is we want this to be all about the veterans, all about veterans getting what they rightly deserve, the recognition they rightly deserve, and the development and enhancements that they need to lead a better life, a new mission. That's very much behind what we're doing. And we also rather enjoy doing things differently, being unique. And that's fundamental to our business model. And it's something that's not going to be lost. So I want to say that right up front. Whatever happens in the future, we're going to retain the ethos that we stand by. We're going to retain all of the good things that we're doing. We're just going to build on it and build on it. It's getting enormous attention already. Enormous. We're less than 2 months into the beta launch, where Chris and I started talking about this and working on this back in November last year. And what you're seeing today is a result of the work that we put it together to bring the team of people that we've got now. And we've got a phenomenal team of people already. And it makes me extremely proud to be part of this, and to see all the hard work that's going in, and it's going to pay off massively. I have got some news about direction that we're going in, and I'm going to just touch a little bit at the moment on one area, and then I'm going to come back into talk about that under the news story a little bit more in more detail about what that means, and it's pretty substantial. And on the 1st of April, Chris is going to be applying for 501c status. So we're going to be applying for charitable non-profit status for HUNDO. What that means in practice is that we are going to almost officially divided into two organizations, but unofficially it's not a full split. It's not by any means. It's two organizations working together. So Hondo will continue as it is, as a business that can generate profits and put those towards veterans and the good of veterans. The bulk of the organization will be a 501c. It will be a non-profit, right? We get the status. The bulk of it will be that. And that has two substantial benefits for us. One, our status and our credibility and all the amazing work we're doing fits better as an official non-profit. It fits, people recognize it, and it will just elevate our status, and we'll get a greater recognition of the work we're doing as a 501c. The second one, which is an obvious one, financially, it puts us in a completely different position. We're able to attract money, donations, and the like, which brings a whole raft of other considerations. And that's something I've currently been working on in the background since I've been back. And so I'm going to talk more about that later on in the updates. So as I've just alluded to, I've been away for a couple of weeks, and not entirely off grid. I've been away to see my beautiful fiance for a couple of weeks, and spending some quality time together. But definitely not switching off from this. You can never switch off from this, and whatever I'm doing, I'm not switched off. So I've been doing a fair bit of preparation work in the background, and yeah, so I have been touching base and been having conversations, particularly with Chris, keeping up to date with what's going on. I've been watching the chats and trying to keep up with that. Unfortunately, the time zones made a big difference, and it also screwed up a little bit of the messages. The messages are coming through hours later than I was sending them. So, but anyway, that's a little bit of background. So there's other things that are coming forward. You've heard about some of the initiatives. I've got a bit of news as well. I have clients that I work with, and one of those I met this week, very interesting contact, and has put forward a possibility we've just started exploring. She's very heavily connected with the veterinarian sector, and she works with helping veterinary practices to improve their efficiencies. I'm just sort of cutting very quickly through this, a lot of time. She's based in Italy. The company she works for is international, and it's based in America. And we started talking about a market which I think is particularly exciting. There's a huge need within the veterinarian sector for people to help out with everything from taking phone calls through to physio and basic introductory work within the veterinarian sector. And she said that there was a pilot project just being undertaken in one country where they're taking prison offenders and they're introducing them into veterinarian practices to take on roles. And as we were talking, we were just like exploring the possibilities. Why not vets for vets? Why not create an opportunity? Because apparently there's a huge market out there to explore getting veterans working in veterinary practices, engaging more with people, engaging in some real work experience, engaging into employment because there's employment opportunities there, and engaging with animals because the therapeutic benefits are huge. So we're just starting to explore this one. So this is just one of many, many, many avenues that we're exploring. I'm also exploring possibilities for how we can use the funding that we will hopefully, or we definitely will be exploring and getting once we get 501c status. It will change dramatically the possibilities and things that we can do. So we're exploring ways that we can get people the support, get your disability benefits sorted out, get your frame of mind supported so that you can be more active. Everybody can be more active and feel more supported, camaraderie, which is vitally important. And then we want to be able to move on to employment or volunteering opportunities, whichever is appropriate. We want to get people back into work and back into a new mission and quality jobs. We want to see gone are the days where veterans are coming out and they're going into low-paid jobs beneath their abilities. We want to elevate people, and this is why the education program and support and training that we're going to provide is so vital, because this is a huge part of where we're going. We want to take people to completely different levels. The quality of people that we're starting to talk to already is showing massive, massive potential. And I'm really, really excited to see where this is going to go. If the last couple of months are anything to go by, watch this space, because we're going to just take over the world and we're going to change the whole status of veterans, which is exactly what this is all about. And you can take it from our word that that is fundamental to everything that we're doing and always will be. It will be veterans first, making sure that everybody fulfills their best potential and beyond the potential that they think they're capable of. We're going to take people to a whole new level. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well in the updates. I've got a bit of a fun way of talking about what we stand for, and I'm working on a marketing piece that is going to be pretty interesting piece of marketing, and just a bit of fun, but a way of expressing in simple terms what we stand for and what we're doing and how that comes through. And I'll save that one for a little bit later in the meeting, and you'll get exactly where I'm coming from. Okay, so I shall now pass back on. I think I was passing back on to Chris, is it? Yep, our president, Chris. Pass back on to you.
So there is a major aspect that depending on the funding levels that we're looking to house, is creating a user-centric approach. What does that mean? That you provided a website already, you provided a structure already, you provided today, for example, our recruitment, believe it or not, are not coming heavily from, and this is not trying, our recruitment is not coming heavily from the veteran community. Our recruitment is coming from active duty. A lot of active duty members they address this issue that, okay, they see this pain point. And that's going to be one of our major focuses as we continue to push. I constantly get members who are still on active duty asking for our program that we're providing. So that means that there is no other solution on the market, because we're extremely at the infant stage, and the people are looking for that solution, and we're becoming that solution. So one of the major aspects that we definitely want to hammer out is having AI-driven websites to design for each member that wants to be an entrepreneur, and we definitely want to bring on that. Before we pass it on to Captain McDonald, I want to, Joe, do you mind updating about some programs that's going on with on your PR realm, please?
All right, thank you, President. So what we have going is, once we get our 501c status come April 1st, we're going to be looking out to larger organizations such as the VFW, American Legion, Operation Homefront, stuff like that, organizations that already pretty much have establishment in other states throughout the United States. Reason being for that is the first and foremost is, if we have a veteran that is in one of those states that's having a crisis or something like that, something's coming up and it has to be addressed immediately, we are wanting to be able to have people on the ground locally to be able to reach that veteran and help him right away. That's one of the things that we want to do. Now, public relations also includes, getting, the voice out there about our organization and what we're doing. So we're going to try to get some more support and input from these other local establishments as well, organizations. And I'm not just going after the big name ones either. I am going to be looking for all types on Facebook and all other types of social media whatsoever, and try to reach out to all these other support organizations throughout the United States and let them know about us, and then see if we can go ahead and work with them for association to help them, their veteran organization, to grow and also help, and we can support them while they support us. So we're all working together, we're all supporting our veterans, and it's just all going to go together. We're going to have all the blind spots taken care of. That's what I'm focusing on. But as soon as we get that 501c, I've already started making contacts, as you heard in the beginning of the meeting. I happen to have a show for my own business and happen to have a contact, and they know somebody that also works in the Pentagon that's also doing support. So, that's great things. I love to talk to people like that. And they were already on board with what our mission is. So great things are looking forward. So after April 1st, after we get our 501c, I'll be hitting the ground running, and you're come back for more updates, because I'm gonna probably have a whole lot of exciting news. That's for sure. Around probably mid-April for sure. On to you, President.
Amen. It's great. It's great. It's funny. It falls on April Fool's Day too,
Yeah, well, but it's not fooling anybody. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know exactly, right? So, Captain McDonald, what's next on our agenda? What do we got?
Alrighty. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into some of the updates that we've had. So with this last week, the leadership, what we've been working on, and a lot of the stuff that we voted on, we are working to create separate groups and offices within Hundo, which is essentially the layout for the Veteran Club business aspect, but we're also applying it to a military concept. So each office that we're having for business, for example, the side that's working on insurances, or the side that's working on the VEPs, where someone's going to be working on the housing area, someone on this, they're all going to be different offices. So if you look at it in the military, for example, you have S1. The S1 we haven't exactly defined which offices are going to represent which area, or if we're even actually going to call them the S1, and so on and so forth. But we're developing our different groups and putting people in charge of those groups, and we're actually going to start building those groups with multiple people in each group to actually make them run effectively. This will allow us to kick off on the ground run when we start bringing in large amounts of veterans to get them the basic needs. So we're also working on building a more in-depth rank structure description. So within the Hundo Club, everybody is ranked with either active duty or inactive duty ranks. And so because we do have a large active duty membership that's growing, so right now we have their ranks, we're not touching them because they're currently active duty, and that'd be kind of weird to try and mess with their rank. But in terms of the Hundo, every rank has a V in front of it. So you have VE1, VE2, and VO1, VO2, or VCW. And that is how and each one of those is going to be fully defined, and we're going to work on that. So currently we have VE1 through VE4 almost completely defined. We're in the final stages of defining what it means to be a troop. And then we're going to be working on VE5, VE6, and then VO1 through VO3. That's going to help. Once we have all of those fully defined, it'll help us actually build our structure and our leadership for each one of those groups that we mentioned before. So what we're actually going to be asking is, we're going to be asking all of our current members to identify within themselves what they would like to focus on, and talk to one of the three existing officers for guidance and how to get there. Three existing officers would be myself, Captain Ian McDonald, Captain Joe Arnold, or Captain Troy Dotson. Captain Joseph Arnold over there is for anything involving the VEPs currently. So that would be the onboarding, the three basic needs, as we put it, the life, housing, the three basic needs for their life is housing, income, and transportation. So if any veteran is lacking in those, or you can provide a service that helps solve that, you would be going to Captain Joe. Right now, the VA claims is also technically under his office, but that will be made its own group and a separate group to specifically deal with that as we move forward. Right now, it's under his simply because we don't have enough people. My specific office, so Captain Ian McDonald, is for leadership, business coaching, and I currently handle administrative management. So I do the paperwork. I make sure that everything's recorded and put into the right place. This will eventually cover leadership command within the organization as a whole. So organizing all the different offices to make sure they're doing the right things. They're all furthering their own development and moving to where they need to. This is also going to cover meetings and administrative organization. And for now, this will include group leadership training, classes for mindset, personal development. It also currently handles legal coverages for individuals within HUNDO. Captain Troy Dotson's group and area will be leading what I personally refer to as the one-stop shop for all insurance. This will cover all the traditional insurance as well as financial planning and retirement planning. And Captain Dotson's office will also cover education, schooling, and similar fields. Obviously, we're splitting the education and of specific things into every single office. So every single office will have their own specific coaching and education for fields that tie to that. And that will actually be a large portion of all the other offices moving forward, such as we'll probably have a group that focuses on engineering, and that might split off to different types of engineering. We might have ones that focus on the medical fields, and eventually we're going to have a lot of offices. And as people come into HUNDO, they will be separating themselves into those offices so that they can actually be amongst their peers and learning from people who are actually going to promote them to get further in those fields. We're actually going to change the layout for this specific Sunday call as well, to the point where we're going to add some general rules that we have learned recently that we didn't really have in place. And by not having them in place, we're actually inviting people to essentially violate what the whole purpose of this is for. And we're changing it to a more militaristic and laid out format. And I will now pass it back to, I believe, Vice President Finch, so that he can go over what he's working on.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so just to lighten the mood a little bit, I said I'd touch on something I was working on. One of the things I took away with me whilst I was away was the whole idea that we needed to market very simply what we stand for, top level. What are we aiming to do, and how do we communicate that, and how do we talk about how we are taking veterans who have suffered, and we started off with this idea of bringing a new mission. It is a new mission. We want veterans to have a new mission. We wanted to take it a bit further than that. And over the first couple of months, we've had a bit of fun between us all with references to films. There's been one person in particular knows what I'm talking about when I say The Blob came in, and that's been talked about. We've talked about Starship Troopers. We've talked about Star Trek as well, and it's on Star Trek that I eventually settled, and with the concept, and that might sound a bit strange, but within Star Trek, those that know it know that there's one particular series of episodes and one particular protagonist from Star Trek that really stands out, possibly for the wrong reasons. The Borg. Everybody knows the Borg. And I steered away from it to start with. And then my creative mind got to work, and I started to think about what is it about the Borg in a positive way that captures people's imagination, and what gets attention. And when I started to write down what the Borg stand for, I realized that it's very easy to adapt it to exactly what we stand for and exactly what we're doing. So I'll start off with one of the famous lines, and this one's a little bit more tenuous. The resistance is futile. The Borg are famous for saying resistance is futile. We want to make it a situation where it's not just futile, but people just are flocking to come to Hondo, flocking to come to us, because it would be futile not to engage with the services that are available for veterans. It would be futile to not engage in what is being offered and what we're creating here. So if I move on to the second big feature of the Borg, and this is a very significant one. What makes them stand out? It's the enhancements. Now, there's a bit of a military reference here. When you join the military, you get all the equipment you need. You get all the fancy weaponry. You get all the fancy gear and safety gear and everything else that you need. You lose that when you become a veteran. But when you join Hondo, and this is the association, we're enhancing you mentally and physically, and we're equipping you with new things. We're actually creating enhanced veterans. And this is something we're going to play on a lot more through this message. And this is where I'm just starting to, and you'll see where it's going to lead to. The third aspect, another big thing that the Borg are known for, the collective. They are a collective mind. There was as you know, probably know in the stories, the queen who was the one who was the many. But the Borg are known as the many. They're a known collective mind. And one key feature, when one Borg got hurt, the collective mind knew. Everybody knew, paid attention. They're all connected. And guess what we're doing? We are one collective mind. We are gathering collective knowledge, and we're sharing it amongst the collective mind. We're going to become one collective mind, and we're going to make sure that nobody is left behind, because we're all self-aware as one unit. And that is quite critical to the message of what we're building here and what we're doing. Which then leads to another aspect of the Borg, which is serving as one. We do serve as one. Yes, everybody has their own role and function, but we serve as one unit. We serve as one unit, one purpose. And that's collectively our collective interest, gathering, enhancing, moving on, becoming greater than the individual as a collective. And another feature of the Borg, the fifth one that I came up with, and I really sort of racked my brains about this, was each Borg has a new designation. Well, as you're all aware, you're getting new designations, our rank system. But we want to take it further than that. We want to give every veteran a new designation, not just as somebody who served their country, but somebody who rightfully deserves respect for who they become, the enhanced veteran. And that's what we're creating, is enhanced veterans. So the thing I've been playing with is there's a lot more meat to this. There's a lot more detail to this. So I've been playing around with it. And what I've come up with is the idea that I'm going to commission a video. I'm going to commission a video. I couldn't think of the terminology. I think it's York or something like that, where you can put into AI and it comes up with an image, comes up with you can create images, and there's some high level stuff there. If I can find the right person to do this, what I'd like to do is to show a transition video. We might have two versions. Might have one which is pre-recruitment into the armed forces, but I want to have certainly starting from the armed forces, and I want to have one person from each of the military disciplines represented as military personnel. We're going to transition that from fully armed, full military outfit into the veteran in civilian outfit. And then we're going to transition again into the enhanced veteran, the pseudo Borg, the enhanced veteran who's gone through the Hondo support and becomes a super person, a super enhanced veteran. And that is the ultimate goal of what we're going to be doing. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to create a video. We're going to use the reference, this is my idea, and I'm welcoming feedback on this, that we're taking something that people recognize and we're turning it into a positive. What I don't want to do in that video is to have anything weapon-wise once people have left the military. I want it to be, the enhancement to be about showcasing that people are enhanced, that they have a new role, and they come out. Yeah, some of them might well have physical enhancements, which recognizes the fact that people have both mental and physical disabilities. But they don't have to be disabled. We're enhancing everybody. We're increasing your capabilities. We're turning you into enhanced beings. We're turning you into enhanced humans. We're turning you into people who can fill a much better role within society, and you become enhanced people, and you become part of the collective mind, part of the collective, part of this camaraderie. To me, it just sort of sums up everything that we stand for. So this is one of the things I've been working on and playing around with and having some fun with. So yeah, this is a video that I'd like to create, maybe a couple of different videos, a couple of different versions. We'll get some commissions, we'll play around with them. I'm going to find somebody that give us enough time that we can put it to some votes and get some feedback. Before I even go out to ask for commissions on this, I'm welcoming feedback from all the members on the whole concept. And I'm more than happy to talk through more details of this at an appropriate time. So yeah, this is basically what we'll be coming up with, is a really simple way to express what we're about. Collective mind, hive mind, supporting each other, enhanced veterans, taking on a new role and being super people, super beings, taking beyond their current capabilities. And this will actually be picked up, and we know there's a sub-message here. Eventually it will be picked up by the military, because they'll be going, wow, this is fantastic. This is amazing for our recruitment. People think you come into the military and you get all these skills and you come out, what happens? Well, you come out and you get enhanced. Well, yeah, who doesn't want that? You know, it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun, but there's a lot of seriousness to it. What we are collectively doing here, all of us, is we're enhancing people. We're taking people to places they'd never dreamed were possible. We're taking them out of being dropped out into society and getting left behind. We're creating people who are going to fulfill massive roles within society, and they're going to change the whole face of how veterans are perceived, and the whole face of how veterans can perform their role within society. So in a nutshell, that's where I've been, one of the major things I've been playing with. So I'll leave it at that point.
So I pulled up the format for Executive Order 674 of the Presidential Executive Order. So we shall see if we shall enforce that, or we should go through a vote system like we normally do. Welcome, Brian, and welcome, Johnny. Thank you so much for being here today. Do we got anything on the agenda else, or should we pass it along to Brian and our other members? Or Captain McDonald?
Well, at this point, I'll open the floor up for any questions. I don't see any questions that have actually been put in the chat yet. So, Brian, Johnny, if you have any questions on anything that's been gone over, or anything about what we are as a whole that maybe you don't know, like maybe this isn't your first time here, go ahead and ask. And if we don't have any questions, we'll just have open mic and talk about things from there. What's going on, Johnny?
No questions, just being a stalker and just observing.
Kind of having a hard time hearing you.
I have no questions.
Okay. Gotcha. What about you, Brian? Any questions?
At the moment, I do not. So I appreciate all that you guys are doing. I'm looking forward to learning more. I've been a little bit delayed in being able to stay up with you guys, but I see the chats and everything else. So, I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Alrighty. Well, I then, right before we open up for open mic and conversation, I have a question for you two specifically, since you guys are here. And this question is, what would you inspire you guys to engage more with Hundo and essentially fulfill your profile on the Hundo? For example, a lot of members that we've noticed are not actually verified as a veteran on Hundo yet, or they don't even have a picture yet on their profile. And if you haven't done either, the Hundo Club can't actually carry you along. So we were wondering, this might not be either of you specifically, but we're wondering, what do you think would help people actually engage and fulfill their profiles on the Hundo website?
So go ahead, Johnny, do you want to add something?
Yeah, so what
Or just have a profile, you can actually put up a time. If you have these meetings every so going forward, some people, they might have some schedules, they have families. And this is something that's not really
a priority? If you were like, hey, maybe another
let's get together, let's update our profiles. This is a set time we can look forward to.
just so we can do these things.
And that would maybe hit the veterans to maybe update the information. Or update the profiles.
You're like coming in and out. It's like you have a mic that's moving several feet away from you and then coming back, so we hear you and then it'll go away. So I think we got pieces of that, and I think we didn't get the rest of it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So basically what I'm saying is just some veterans don't have, or
And we lost you again.
chicken.
Let me jump in for a second there, Johnny, and discuss a couple things. So I'm in a little bit more of a unique situation than most of the veterans, because I'm actually, not only am I a veteran, and I know Ian doesn't know this, I'm actually still a member of the Kansas Air National Guard. So I'm currently serving. And so if you're a National Guard veteran, then you have what's called an NGB 22 on top of a DD 214, which is only for your active duty service. So you have two different documents that designate your dates of service and what you've actually done, right? So the DD 214 is very easy to obtain, but it can be a little bit time consuming. And you do have to go online and apply for it. And we can actually provide people with a link to those resources. If they are a veteran through the National Guard, then they can actually go to their state adjutant general's office and request a copy of their National Guard Bureau 22. Now, that's for people who have served relatively recently. So as you go further back, like my father, who got out of the military in 1979, getting access to his records is harder. But my father's also 70, almost 73 years old, right? So, so when it comes to helping those veterans out, I think part of it is just providing them with links to where they can get access to verifying that. Now, through the VA, you have several different resources on how to verify your veteran status. You can log into the VA via ID.gov or ID Me or whatever it is. There's a couple of different, and those you don't have to have an actual military ID or CAT card. You don't have to have the formal government documentation to get access to. What they'll do is you'll submit your personal information, and then they will look up the records from behind, and then it will create your access. So there's ways to get it. It's a little bit of legwork. Unfortunately, to verify someone's veteran status, there's not a lot. I'm not saying you can't, but there's not a lot you can do on behalf of the individual.
Right. And also, Johnny, so I'm just going to try and summarize from the pieces that I heard. I think what you're trying to say is that people they have busy lives, so it's you're basically trying to say that when we're asking for verification pictures and just setting up the profile, you're actually asking for us to take away from that, and a lot of people are too busy. Is that kind of what you were saying, Johnny?
Yeah.
When you try to join an organization or
Upload, your DD 14 or picture, things of that nature. So it's kind of hard to take the veteran to be,
to do these things. Engage the soldier or
this is just the process itself. What can we do to get the
It's coming in broken and unreadable, but I'm picking up a little bit engagement with the individual and try to say, hey, there's a lot of tools and things like that. We can definitely pick up on that for sure later. Ed, you've had your hand up for a while. Is that for peacekeeping purposes or telling us to stop, or you want to talk?
No, it was just that I said I'd come back to talk a little bit more about the 501c, and I'm sort of conscious that as time is running through, I'll keep it short. But I just wanted to just pick up a little bit on that because it's such big news, and just to give people a bit of a heads up on where we're going with that. So basically, as I was saying earlier, the 501c will enable us to be a non-profit. So the major part of HUNDO will be the idea is it will become a non-profit. It's not going to change the fundamentals of everything we've built. That's all going to stay the same. In fact, if anything, it's actually going to enhance what we're doing. And this is the critical important part. It's going to enable us to have the funds to move forward with enhancing the server. We're going to be able to do much more training education. We're going to be able to do other things that we want to be doing, which is things like the emergency support. I've been brainstorming a number of ideas, which I've just sort of touched base with you, as you know, Chris, just giving you a little heads up on some of the things I've been playing around with. But the idea is that we want to basically have a plan that when money starts coming in, we've got some pretty good ideas of how we would likely spend it, and then we can go to the members for votes on those. We want some pretty good ideas. Crucially to all of this is we don't want to be, with no disrespect to them, we don't want to be like the majority of non-profits. We don't want to say, whoopee, we've got a shed load of money and let's go and spend it and start recruiting staff and spending money like water. We've built this on a shoestring, and we want to make sure that all the money we bring in is spent very wisely and very carefully and with a maximum effect. In fact, what we want to be able to do, if we work this right, is we want to exceed expectations. So when people donate money to HUNDO, to the 501c, they're going to have a certain amount of expectation that this is going to deliver benefits to veterans. We want to exceed those expectations. We want to just basically say, yeah, we're doing continuing to do some stuff with this. We're continuing to innovate. We're continuing to take people to a whole new level. So this is a lot of the work so everybody's aware that you and I are working on in the background, and the leadership team will then take up and develop further, that will then filter back down through, that we're making sure that as we get into the 501c status, that we're going to continue to be the innovators. We're going to continue to be the ones that lead the way, and we're going to continue to provide exemplary services. We will still have the for-profit side, which enables us to do things that the 501c can't legally. So it will complement one will complement the other. And the commercial side is then able to donate money to the 501c, which is tax efficient. So they complement each other, and the 501c can commission service from each side. So one supports the other, but the predominant part will be the 501c. So this is just, it's big news for people. You know, it's I know it's a little bit out of the blue for some, but fundamental message is isn't going to change what we've built. In fact, it's going to be enhancing what we're building, and we want to keep that message loud and clear. It's going to enhance everything, and the money coming in will be spent very wisely, very carefully, and we'll continue to maintain the voting system. And we want to have solid ideas for people to vote on. Solid ideas that mean we're spending money efficiently and we're delivering the maximum benefits to veterans. So, yeah,
This is huge. As you're saying, this is huge. Why does it make a difference? Because it's called a fork in a road. We can go a corporation route and open it to the public, right? And or we can keep it in-house, veteran only. What's the best solution to that problem? This is it. So we don't want to go corporation. We don't, even though economically it would be freaking awesome for my pocket. It would be great, right? But that's not the goal, right? So going corporate route is not going to be efficient and effective for our long-term vision of the organization. So the best way to keep it is keep it limited liability, as Mr. Finch said, and keep it going. That's the motive behind it, of going the non-for-profit route, because obviously this organization would too easily be a corporation. But that again becomes a very self-feeding program of CEOs, high paying, blah, 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 you know, $6 million, you know, pay for me. And this is wild, ridiculous stuff, right? So it's not part of our vision. So to correct that, we have to go with the 501c. Am I getting that spot on, or is that pretty spot on?
Absolutely. We're doing this. We set this up for the right reasons, and it is, you know, you started this whole initiative with the right reasons and causes, and we came on board. We've all come on board because we believe in the vision of what HUNDO is, and that fits better with being a 501c. I come from both a commercial background and a charity non-profit sector background. I spent a good many years in that, and got some pretty good innovative stuff that I want to contribute towards the vision of how we can stay several steps ahead of everybody else in that sector, and show people how it really should be done. So we're spending money wisely and efficiently, and we're spending it for maximum impact on the people that we're here to serve and help and enhance, which are veterans. And yeah, to be a commercial business would mean that we're just, there's a temptation to line pockets and start employing people en masse and paying high salaries, and that's not the ethos that we've built. We've built a model that takes people, gives them skills, gives them incentives to get involved, rewards them for that, builds people up, helps them get more jobs, help them build their income. And our leadership team, the whole idea with that is that we're rewarding not only with ranks, but with enhanced coaching and support and development, and helping it. We're both helping them with their businesses. This is the sort of thing that will continue. We'll continue to invest in our people, and that best sits with a 501c rather than a commercial business, because they're more about the profits that can be made. So this is a lot of the thinking behind going down this route. Pass it open to anybody who has any questions.
I was going to say, to change topic a little bit, Brian, I put this down as a note because that's actually a situation that we have not talked about, how that will affect ranks, where someone is both a veteran but active duty reserve. Because I believe the National Guard is considered active duty reserve. I'm a Marine, so I'm not entirely sure how that works.
I've done National Guard, so I'm right there with you, Brian.
Yeah. So, I mean, being in the National Guard, I am technically considered a reservist. If you're active duty, you're Title 10. There are Guard members who do go on Title 10 status, but typically Title 32 is for Guard. And so I just serve my 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. And, you know, in the event that I get mobilized, my current career field doesn't really deploy as much as it gets mobilized. So, I mean, yeah, I'm no longer in like a combat unit.
Gotcha. So, well, what I put down for the notation is that we need to go over how we treat people who are like that. Because what I'm
Hopefully
figuring,
kind.
well, well, I don't know. We're branching off the military. Military isn't always kind. I don't know what you guys call it in the army, but we had the big green weenie in the Marine Corps. Um, so, but what I mean is like, because you'll have your current rank for your active duty and your reserve duty, but you'll also then have your veteran rank for hundo. And so that's what I mean, because
That's if you
we're
come
not
in and take a
actually,
leadership position, that is.
well, I was going to say what we're not actually doing is we're not actually bringing people's ranks over from their active duty. Like, I'm a captain here in hundo. I was an E4. I'm a corporal. So I was never actually officer line in the military, but due to the leadership and the business that I built, I've developed that mindset. Therefore, I'm there now. So we're not drawing the ranks over. When people come into hundo, they typically start down at E1 in the VEPs, instead of, so that we can make sure that they have those basic necessities. But based on what people are doing, they can go wherever they want. Essentially, it's all within what you want to do and how much you're willing to do. So, but yeah, I
Well,
hope that kind of,
are you planning on having any type of affiliation, formal affiliation with the DoD or military branches?
Yes, the answer is yes. So we will have the active duty service branch one. Right now this is our sandbox, is the veteran Hundo Club. We'll make the active duty Hundo Club version, and that'll be if you're give me a rank in gunnery sergeant. I think that's an E6, right? In Marine
E7.
Corps. E7. Okay, you're a gunnery sergeant. That's going to be your rank and insignia on the active duty. The veteran one, we're keeping it cut short, straight to the point with what the Army rank structure, because it's simplicity and it's the biggest branch. But with the active duty version, what your rank is what you're going to be. That cannot change. That is going to be based on your common access card and everything. So that way, because it's also if fraternization is illegal, right? So we have to bear that in mind. So yes, it's good to socialize and gaining knowledge from superiors in an instant way, but we can't have that aspect of fraternization also. So it has to be monitored in that way. So also it's just an education place where you can socialize and learn as well, and prepare for if you're deciding to get out or stay in, whatever it may be, or help the future veterans, people that future service members through the other aspect. All right, I hope that answers your question, Brian. That is in the works.
Yeah, and I'm friends with all of you guys, so I can always reach out. So I gotta
Sounds
go.
good.
I have another meeting. So see you guys.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks
yep,
for
have a
coming,
good
Brian.
one. I actually have a proposal, Chris, on how to fix that issue. So if they're still active duty, what we should do is like when you're looking at their profile, you should have their veteran rank. And I'm not sure if we put the veteran rank in parentheses saying pending veteran status, and then we have their actual active duty rank. Or that way their active duty rank is what everybody will see. And then when they transfer over to veteran status, then it transfers over to their veteran rank. That way it's easier for people to see, okay, this guy's, a captain in the Army, and he's, sergeant major of the Army food command or whatever. I don't know how you guys separate all that stuff, because you got these fancy titles for all the, upper level staff non-commissioned officers. But sergeant major of, I'll just say food command for an example, because bad idea, but I'm a chef, so food is always on my mind, So sergeant, he's a captain in the Army active duty, but he's a sergeant major of the food command in the VEPs. They would just see captain of Army, and then they would see sergeant major, and it would literally say like pending veteran status.
So we've thought about this, me and Edward, and the best solution we came to is that we have to, again, identify that individual. We could just, instead of, so if you go onto Veteran Hundo Club right now, it says you're a Marine veteran, or et cetera, an Army veteran, right? We can have it where it says current active duty member. Reserve, we're gonna classify reserve element as veteran status. That's for simplicity, because there is not that many in that aspect to make an entire organization based on that. So
We
that's
want to keep
one
it simplistic.
right. You got to keep it like Barney style, and keep it Barney as much as possible, because information overload is distasteful.
Right.
Right. So we could actually, that's a good implementation. That's a good suggestion. And I will definitely think about having where, if you're current active duty, we can have it where it just says active duty. And that doesn't need to explain any further, because that person would be transitioning or something in the nature, until we have the active duty app, because it's going to be a warm handoff. Is once we have the active duty version of Hundo, right? We have an active duty version. It's going to be transitioned right into your profile is going to already be made. Everything. It's going to be set up. All you got your if you want to go employment route, everything's going to be ready to go. Everything's going to be set to go. If you want to go entrepreneur, you let us know. Oh, you'll have already your website developed. You have your app, your program developed. You have everything already set up. So when you get out on day one, you're already crushing it. You know, go through your training programs, go through our educational programs, go through our business rebuild model, and you should already be ready to take on the world again. Enhanced cyborg, whether if so if you're ready to be part of that. So there is a plan ahead, but that is a good short-term fix that we can do. That's within economic budgeting, because it also is very expensive to change an entire rig system, and add another layer to that would just it would just break time and finances.
I think we should table this for the leadership meeting.
I think so as well.
Yeah. So let's
Johnny, you got anything else real quick? Thank you for sitting in with us.
Johnny, you still there?
Yes.
Let me.
There's
So a little bit about myself.
Let me introduce myself first off.
I spent 20 years in the Army as an engineer, as an instructor.
At Fort Lindenwood.
you're coming in broken and unreadable.
I think probably because your earbuds that you're using.
I was gonna say, I think your earbuds are dying on you.
Yeah.
Let me just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Settings.
Yeah, I can
I was
hear
gonna
you
say,
now.
now we hear you just fine.
Settings. Wi-Fi. How about now?
Yeah, we can hear you
Yeah,
just
we hear
fine.
you just fine.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't hear y'all. Let me give me 1 second.
Okay.
So
He
Johnny
needs
will
to
be
turn off the Bluetooth on his phone is what he needs to do.
well. That might be a solution to the problem. So on Monday he's gonna Johnny's gonna come in and do a short presentation verbally.
They're good. I can hear y'all now.
Okay. Good.
All right, so a little bit about myself. I'm a retired E7 sergeant first class, also platoon sergeant. Served 23 years in the Army as an engineer. I built bridges and blew them up. I was also an instructor as well for a little short time, but 2 years. After I retired, I went to college, went to the University of Houston, got my bachelor's degree in business administration. Graduated in 21. Shortly afterwards, I worked for a private firm as a registered representative, talking with teachers, things like that. Didn't really like it. So I work for the state of Texas as a self-regulatory like auditor. I audited financial advisors and broker dealers. So it's kind of like in compliance. And Friday was my last day at work. I'm in transitioning of opening my own companies. So basically, I'm a financial advisor. Okay, so I understand how the stock market works, the different products, mutual funds, bonds, stocks, options, IPOs, SPOs, crypto to an extent. But I can understand how to invest money and according to the market cycle, basically. That's me in a nutshell. I'm very keen to the market. I also trying to establish another company, a tutoring company. These certifications or exams to become a financial advisor are extremely difficult. So I saw a need for that. So currently I'm tutoring for a private company making $30 an hour, but they're charging about 100, 110. So if I open up my own company, I can, charge anywhere from 50, 60, 70, depending on the need of the student, So I'm very passionate about teaching. I'm very passionate about helping other veterans, and yeah, that's me. That's me in a nutshell. I have a big heart. I'm straightforward. I'm honest. I tell you like it is. Yeah. So, yep.
Welcome.
Yeah, awesome. Nice to meet you. Now that we hear you,
Right?
Yeah.
good to see you.
Yeah. I was just just observing. So I'm very observant. But like I said, I can help other veterans. If they're transitioning, if they have a thrift savings plan, what are they going to do with it? How do they roll it over to a different account? Things of that nature. So I can assist in that portion. If
That's
that makes any
great.
sense.
That's
Yeah.
great information. No one ever said that to me when I got out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, what is this? If you withdraw it, there's a penalty. So you can roll it over to a traditional IRA.
Yeah.
There's different products you can roll it over where you have more control over it. Whereas the thrift savings plans, there's different models per se that you invest your money in. But there is what's called a third party administrator that actually collects the fees or part of the fee of your investment.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate you coming in and dropping in on the meeting, getting more power and being part of our program with your program too. So
Yep.
I'm excited to see you on Monday. It shouldn't take long. It's literally all
Right. And
anybody else?
Johnny, thank you for being here, because the whole point when we invite people on here is so that they can observe what we're doing. It is so that they can get an idea of what Hundo is all about.
Right.
But it's also like if you come in next week and the week after that and so on and so forth, it's also people get updates on where we're at, because we're literally a business in building. We're not built yet. We're not fully structured yet. We're still laying down, I guess you could say, we're still technically laying down the masonry and the cement for the raw foundation. Like we're not, we got a long ways to go. So, yeah. So thank you for being here.
One of the major pools of this meeting is how me and Mr. Finch actually started it is if there's any bright ideas like you just had. I'm going to give an example, Captain McDonald, right? You gave a bright idea. There's a problem with the active duty right now, and what about this idea? And that's pooling that collective mind for a solution to a problem. Because again, it applies to anything. If there's, let's say there's 18.5 million veterans that we have within our organization. Don't you think they're going to know more than one lawyer or VSO, for example, or right? No matter how you look at it, they're gonna know so much more, and they can be like, and right. So that's part of that process, is that we want to be able to say, right, for example, Mr. Finch has 40+ years of business experience. Adding me on top of you, on top of you, on top of you, on top. Guess what you got? You got 9,000 years of business experience, right? Can you topple any other organization say that? No, they say we're happy. We got 100 years of business experience with our lawyers, or 75 years. try to top whatever that many years are. Okay, no one's gonna be able to come close to what we're gonna do for each other, and that's what we got to really push out. I think this meeting was top 10. This is definitely top 10. Definitely top 5. Definitely top 5 meetings thus far. Thank you so much, team. You got anything else? The only thing I got to no one left behind, and only good bug is a dead bug.
All right, you guys have a great week.